listening to Cooper Talk.
Welcome to Cooper Talk. I'm your host, Steve Cooper, and remember, I'm only as hip as my guests. And I got to tell you something, people. So me and Joanne got back from our honeymoon. We went to Dubrovnik, which is in Croatia, which is in Europe. And what I noticed is in Europe, the people smoke, and they smoke a lot. Now, I'm an ex-smoker, but I never smoked like them. I mean, they're smoking in between meals, in between bites, they're smoking. It's unbelievable. So, at least they're not vaping, right? Anyway, we have a great show today. My guest, I actually saw him in Philly a while back, and we've been going back and forth, and I finally got him on the show. He's part of a band that I love, and he has a great career. And my guest is Nick Feldman from Wang Chung. How you doing, Nick?
I'm very well, thank you. I used to smoke too, but I haven't smoked for about 15 years. Well, I say that, but I did have a few sort of secret cigarettes on our last US tour, but don't tell anyone.
I won't. I was going to ask you because, you know, you've been touring for a long time, and you're an ex-smoker. What is it like now when you go to a venue and people can't smoke? And back in the day, people smoked pot, people smoked cigarettes. As a performer, did you notice it?
No, because I was such a, before I didn't care. I was a smoker and I loved smoking, and so it was no big deal to me. But in fact, it was quite weird when people stopped smoking, just because, you're kind of used to that rock and roll atmosphere of smoke and alcohol and sex, drugs and rock and roll. But I have to say now, in my old ancient age, it's very good that people don't smoke, because for someone like me who's kind of struggling with, well, actually I'm not struggling, I've done pretty well not smoking, but it makes it that little bit easier to resist the temptation. Just obviously disregarding the fact that I admitted to you I'd smoked a little bit on our last tour, but I kind of got back to the UK and I felt I've got it all under control again, so it's got a happy ending.
Good, well, good. So you've just on tour now. Now, how did you start your musical career? I read that you originally went to college for psychology. How did that end up being a musical career?
Well, I suppose the best thing that happened to me in that respect was getting thrown out of university. I went to Liverpool University. I'd been in a band with John Moss of Culture Club before that. We kind of learnt to play together, and so I went to university. Was interested in psychology. I was reading books off my own bat, because I was interested in it. But I found the course really it was sort of trying to be too scientific. It was kind of, there was an obsession with statistics and stuff like that, which I found all a bit too dispiriting. So, and it didn't seem to me about people and about, what I was interested in. So I sort of progressively got more and more disillusioned with it, and sort of sunk back into my true love, which was music, and I joined some bands up in Liverpool, and eventually, because I hadn't done any work and had studied sort of alcoholology rather than psychology, they eventually threw me out after 2 years, well, quite rightly, because I was useless, but which was the best thing that happened to me, because it really, I had to focus my energies on getting into music, which is what I truly wanted to do anyway. So that's when I came down to London. My parents weren't too happy with me. So I wasn't talking to them. And I managed to get myself a job as a booker. I thought, as an agent, so I thought it would be a kind of smart thing to do, to try and actually have a job in the industry, whilst at the same time sort of getting some contacts for my sort of hopefully successful musician career, So I did that. I did this agency job for a while, and it was an exciting time actually in the UK. That's when punk was just beginning to break. So it was like I got really into it, and I started getting bands like the Clash gigs and Adam and the Ants, who I ended up sort of getting quite a lot of gigs for them, and got them signed to the agency. But just before, around around that time, I really had sort of got a bit fed up with just being a booker. You know, I wanted to be a musician. I was inspired by punk. There was this sense of kind of a do-it-yourself sense of punk, you know. So that inspired me to get off my arse and kind of hand my notice into the job and look for people to play with, you know, musicians. And that's how I eventually found Jack, by putting an ad in the Melody Maker, which was a big music magazine at the time. I put a classified ad in the back pages, put this big ad in that made me look all important, which I totally wasn't. And he was foolish enough to respond to it. Him and many others, actually. I auditioned quite a few people, but he stood out a mile as being really good. So that's when we kind of started to work together, and that was in, I think it was about 77 or 78, something like that, late 70s.
Now, what stood out about him so much that made you just go, wow, holy crap, this is the guy?
Well, I'd already, the reason I got this project together is because a friend of mine, I was still working at the agency, right, and a friend of mine had offered me some free studio time at this little AV audiovisual studio in a London suburb. So, and I'd been writing these sort of punky type songs. So we went in, so I'd finished working, and then we'd go to the studio at night in the downtime. And I was living with this guy from who used to be in the band called Atomic Rooster, who were quite a big metal band from a few years before. He's a great drummer called Paul Hammond. So basically, he and I went into the studio. I played all the other instruments, and sang, and we recorded these songs. They were like punk songs with slightly sort of weird chords, you know, slightly harmonically unusual chords for punk, you know, almost jazzy type chords, you know. So I did these songs, and then I thought I'd get a band together to perform these songs, and one of the people I was looking for was a guitar player, and that's when Jack came along. So I'd had these sort of weird chord sequences ready for the audition. You know, so most people couldn't play the chord sequences I had on guitar. But Jack, I played it to Jack, said, right, can you play that back to me? And he played it back really quickly. He was really on it. It was all weird chords. He totally understood them. So straight away we had, I thought this was, you know, we're of a similar mind here. He told me later on, once we started working together, that he was particularly attracted to the demos that I'd done because they were kind of punk, but with really weird, harmonically rich chords. So I think straight away we had sort of common ground, and then it all went from there.
Now, you said you played most of the instruments. When did you actually start playing music? Were you young, or at what age?
No, I wasn't that young. I was well into my, I suppose, late teens. So I sort of learnt. I was in a band with John Moss for Culture Club. We just used to jam, you know. And another friend of mine called Pete Ellison, he could play guitar. So we used to have these long kind of long improvisations, you know. I was really into Floyd and Grateful Dead and Frank Zappa and all these sort of people. So we used to have these long sort of very experimental jams that lasted for hours, you know. And that was the way I learned, just by literally playing in the most free sense. And Pete could actually play a bit, so he taught me some guitar basics. So and that's how I learnt, through just sheer experimentation and playing and very high creativity, you know. So that's how it started, and then from there, as I said, I went to Liverpool University and was in various bands up there, and once they'd thrown me out, and I came back down, done this job as an agent. It was then I really hit the ground around as runningly as I could, and I met Jack, and we started to gig together.
Now,
and write together.
What was it like trying to get gigs in that early age? Because you said there was a lot of punk, but you were punk with a little bit of jazz. Was it hard for you to get gigs in the beginning?
Yeah, it was kind of hard. There was a sort of London circuit, and there were various gigs around the country that were very active, So if you could sort of slot into the scene, you could probably end up getting some support gigs and stuff. And that was one of the reasons I got myself a job as an agent and booker, was so I could make some contacts, in the gigging world that I could use maybe, once I'd left for any potential band I might be in. So again, that was useful. So I managed to get some gigs through my contacts that I'd built up. So it was, although I've got quite a funny story. I suppose now that I've just remembered that just before I left the agency, I had started to get us some gigs, so I must have done the auditions just before I left the agency. I must have met Jack just before I left, and I remember getting one of my promoters. They booked me or booked our band at their college. And I was so kind of embarrassed that I would be sort of identified as the agent as well, that I kind of disguised myself with a fake beard and baseball hat and sunglasses and stuff. And I walked in, and they recognised me straight away. So it was very embarrassing.
Now, when you guys started, you went by a different name. What was it, Nick the Spig? What was that?
I was Nick the Spig. Jack was, his real name's Jeremy, but he wrote this song called "I'm Jack Hughes," like "I accuse you," the famous revolutionary French saying. But so he said, he had the song "I'm Jack Hughes." I said, okay, right, that's your name then, mate. You're going to be Jack Hughes. I was Nick. Nick the Spig is like a kind of this invented character of some kind of East End, like semi-low-level gangster, wide boy kind of thing. Yeah, Nick the Spig, some dodgy underworld sort of character. So I fancied the name.
Now you guys are digging around. You've gotten together. How do you get your first record deal?
Well, again, this going back to my sort of agency experience. One of the venues that I used to book a lot of our bands into was Sheffield Polytechnic, the university up in Sheffield. And the guy who was the social secretary, the booker, who all the bookers of the universities and polytechnics were students. Yeah. So the guy, I just made a really good relationship with this guy called Jed, who was booking all these bands. He used to book all my bands, and then we became friends. And then he decided, once he left once he'd sort of left university and therefore left booking, he was looking to maybe get into the music industry, possibly as a manager. And it was then that I told him that I was thinking of leaving as well, my job, and that would he fancy managing the band that I was getting together. So he was like, oh, okay, yeah. So he started to manage us. Now, he's had a fantastic career in the music industry. He ended up managing Paul Young and Alison Moyet, and he became chairman of Sony, and he's had a pretty amazing career. So I'm pretty good at spotting budding music business executives as well as bands. But so anyway, so he got us our record deal with Arista Records. So we've been gigging around for a while. He was managing us. He got Warner's interested, who offered us a singles deal, and then the guy at Warner's, the A&R guy at Warner's, who wanted to sign us, but just on a singles deal, left and went to Arista Records. So from there, he tried to sign us to Arista. So Warner's then upped their deal to an album deal, and there was a kind of bit of a bidding war between Arista and Warner's, and we ended up signing to Arista Records, and that's how we got our deal. We were kind of lucky. But it had taken a good few years of gigging around, building up a bit of a reputation. We were starting to get good press, and we were kind of well thought of. But the shows that we were doing were, shall we say, it wasn't easy. Some of them we get good response, some not so good. It was hard work and pretty, what's the word? We had to be tough. You have to be tough. You've got to be able to deal with sort of various levels of rejection, But we kept going. We had this sort of inner belief that we'd come through it, and come through it. We did, certainly with a record deal with Arista. That was a nice deal. So that got us into in the game properly,
Now you said you had some tough gigs. Tell me one of your nightmare gigs, if you remember, in the early days, because there had to be some shitholes you played with rowdy crowds.
Well, we had loads of nightmare gigs. I suppose I remember driving, about 5 hours up to. It's one of the first gigs we'd done out of town. We drove all the way up to Middlesbrough. Which is a long time. That's a good 6-7 hour drive, in our horrible rusty van that we had, we drove all the way up there, and that expression, one man and a dog turned up. Well, it was literally one man and a dog turned up to that gig. So so that was a complete waste of time. But we did another one in this place called West Runton Pavilion. It's in Norfolk, and it was basically a load of farmer boy punks sort of turned up. We were supporting someone called Toya, who was at the time just becoming very successful as a kind of slightly post-punky sort of performer, and her audience were very punky, and and this place was kind of in the middle of nowhere, and so we by this time we were doing quite well. It was, some of the stuff was a bit punky, but some of it was a bit more sophisticated, a bit more, less sort of in your face. So anyway, we went on, and the first song was quite sort of, had a bit of edge to it, a bit of vibe, so that you could see the audience, they were kind of thinking, well, that's okay. Then the next song was a bit more kind of subtle, so you could see them kind of, their minds sort of going, what do we think about this? By the third song, which was even more kind of arty and left field, they decided that they really hated us. And that's when they started to throw things at us and spit at us. And I mean, we were just getting half full bottles of, all sorts of stuff thrown at us. And it was about during the fourth song, I sort of looked around. The sound on stage was terrible. I couldn't hear anything. I looked around, and the other guys had they just left the stage. I was just there on my own. I literally had to run away. We had to run away from that place. Apparently, the week before, the entire audience had rioted, and they'd smashed up the PA, and there was just one big bloodbath backstage. So, and that was for a band they loved as well. So we thought, we just drove off, and we got the hell out of there. Didn't get paid. And it was a really foggy night, so we could barely see where we were going. It was a bit like, American Werewolf in London or something like that. It was really one of the most weird experiences I've ever had. But yeah, well, there's loads of other bad ones too, but we haven't got all day, I guess.
Yeah. Now, you guys, you signed the first deal. When do you come to America?
Well, we'd never been to America at all, in our lives, if you know what I mean. So, America had this magical thing for us. We loved American music, which I think was a good thing. I think that slightly American element has been, I think, a useful thing in our music in terms of our career in the States. I think it's subliminally audible, if you see what I mean. But so we did this first album with Arista, and when our name was Wang Chung, Huang, Wang Chung. It was a name that people found very hard to pronounce for some reason. People used to call us Hung Chung, or they just couldn't get their heads around how to say our name. So the album sort of did well in terms of reviews. It was respected. People like even people like Trent Reznor were sort of fans of it, But in terms of sales, it didn't produce the big hit single that the record company had hoped for. And I think we were just getting it to that point with the record company that a lot of bands get to, where the record company are sort of thinking, well, without a hit, maybe this is all not going to work out, and maybe we should get some hit writers in to kind of co-write with the band, and all that kind of stuff, which we were completely not into. And it was at that point that Jack came up with Dancehall Days. Thank God, like the cavalry coming over the hill, he came up with the song Dancehall Days. So we went into the studio, we demoed it, and it was at that point that I met this guy called David Massey, who was a friend of my sister's, actually. I used to live with my sister, and David Massey came over to see my sister, and then he and I just got talking, and it turned out that he was very keen to get into the music industry, and I played him our album on Arista, and he loved it, I just on instinct, I said, do you fancy managing us, it had sort of gone a little bit with our first manager. Things had sort of peaked, I think. So, and David was new, young and smart, and he seemed like a really good choice, even though he was totally inexperienced. So he kind of got on board, and I think he really, at that point, with Jack wrote Dancehall Days, we demoed it, David heard it, loved it, thought it was an absolute smash. He then played it to Geffen Records in America. He met John Kolodner from Geffen Records, the A&R guy, who had actually, as it turned out, seen us play in England a while before and thought we were interesting but weren't quite ready to be signed. But when he heard Dancehall Days, that just completely clinched it, and Geffen wanted to sign us. Geffen in the States, that is, So, because Arista was so, how should I put it? Because they'd sort of lost, they weren't sure whether we were going to make it or not. I think they'd really lost their nerve with us. Even though they could hear Dancehall Days was potential hits, they just weren't sure anymore, which gave us an opportunity to buy ourselves out of that contract and sign straight to Geffen in the States. It was one of the most, so from being pretty close to, feeling that our career was about to end, within about, a matter of months, we were signed to one of the most prestigious labels in America, and who were really gung-ho about, us having some great potential for success. And then after that, we recorded Dancehall Days, Points on the Curve album for them. And straight away, the first single came out, it was top 40 in America. MTV was really getting into its stride, So Don't Let Go, then Dancehall Days, we were flying and touring America and getting recognised in every corner of the States because of MTV. It was such a total contrast to where we'd been only a matter of within less than a year before. It was quite an extraordinary turnaround.
Right. I was going to ask you, it must have been because I'm at the age where I watched MTV from the beginning. What was it like shooting that first video, and did you think that a video would impact your career so much?
Well, when you say the first video, do you mean of the very first video we did, or
no? When you did Dancehall Days.
Of Dancehall Days. Well, with Don't Let Go, which was we'd done a few videos before. We'd done one for Don't Be My Enemy. We did that in the UK. And then we did another one for Don't Let Go. So Don't Let Go started to get a bit of traction. So that went top 40 in the States. And that started to get our face around town or around the country, especially in America, because MTV didn't really exist in the UK at the time. So for us, like going to America and MTV and everything, that was pretty amazing. With Dancehall Days, we did a video with the esteemed and sort of legendary film director, Derek Jarman. He's a real art film director, and he wanted to do Dancehall Days, so we did this video with him, which was, it's a great honour to work with him, but it was very, how should I put it, he used some sort of footage his father had shot during the war. His father was in the RAF, the Royal Air Force, and he shot this amazing footage of him in the RAF, and also some home movie stuff of his family and everything. So all that footage was amazing, but Derek then shot some stuff of us around it, with a kind of Wizard of Oz theme, so I was the straw man, and Jack was the tin man, and Darren the drummer was the lion, and all the stuff of us, frankly, was kind of a little bit sort of embarrassing, but all the home movie stuff from the 40s was brilliant, and I think Geffen Records in America, they just thought, this is terrible, we can't use this, it's just too English and not rock and roll enough, so they suggested, they wanted us to reshoot a whole new video, which we did with a guy called Danny Kleinman, and he sort of came up with, I think, the video you might be more familiar with in America, with the mirror ball and all those things, the suitcase and everything. So yeah, that was a lot of fun shooting that. It was quite something to shoot two completely different videos for one song, The one thing I found about videos, though, was that there's so much hanging around, especially if you weren't, not being the main lead vocalist. You'd sort of be hanging around for the shots. You'd have some sort of 6 a.m. call to the set, and end up sort of at about 4 p.m. having your first shot. So there'd be a hell of a lot hanging around. So it was it was exciting and incredibly boring at the same time, if you see what I mean. But yeah, when I look back, it's all pretty amazing, really. Now
you started, as you said, gaining success from the videos. What did you like? Did you like touring America in the beginning because you had just gone through some nightmare gigs in England? What was your vibe on American audiences, and who were you on the road with? Some of the bands you went on the road with.
It was it was fantastic because it was completely different to what we'd experienced in the UK. First of all, as I said, we had this, very prestigious record deal with Geffen Records, and we were finally in America, this country that was, almost legendary to us from a musical point of view. The whole experience of of touring in the States, the kind of the size of the country and the romance of sort of being on the road, you know, was pretty amazing for us, you know. And then, you know, you'd go to sort of end up in East Jesus somewhere, and then you get recognised. You know? People would know who you were. It's just pretty amazing. So we really enjoyed it, and we did some big stuff. You know, we toured with. I think the first tour we did was with the Romantics, just when they were kind of starting to break as well. We were doing some fairly big places with them, and then after that we toured with the Cars, and we did the Heartbeat City tour, which was, you know, pretty amazing. And we were playing huge places, and we loved working with the Cars, and it was God bless Rick Ocasek, of course. That was an amazing experience, and you know, many people still come up to us at the gigs that we do these days and testify about seeing us playing on those tours, especially the Cars one, saying how good it was and what it meant to them and stuff, you know.
So the band's hot. You get the album. Now then it comes Mosaic. Did you feel when you get into the studio that there was a pressure to get a big album? Because Dance All Days was a hit. You know, that album did okay. But did you feel any kind of pressure because the record company was very invested in you?
You felt a lot of pressure, and in fact, the next album wasn't Mosaic. The next album was To Live or Die in LA, and that was so. Basically, what happened was, so we had this terrific start with Points on the Curve and Dancehall Days, and I think we were considered to be an exciting new up-and-coming act, especially in America, but all over. Dancehall Days was a hit everywhere, pretty much. You know, so it was. You know, we really went from, you know, looking into the abyss of the end of our sort of career in the music business, signed to Arista, to, you know, being high in the charts with Points on the Curve. So yeah, that was a great start. But then, you know, of course, the pressure from the record company straight away to come up with the next album with some hits on it. And we went off. We wrote a bunch of stuff. The record company felt that we didn't have the hits yet. You know, we went into the studio with our producer, and we were sort of trying all different ways to somehow come up with stuff. And we were starting to get a little bit dispirited, actually, a bit kind of oppressed by the whole thing. And then, literally, again, like the cavalry coming over the hill again, William Friedkin contacted us, the film director of The Exorcist and The French Connection, contacted us and wanted us to do the music, the whole score of his new film, To Live or Die in LA. So it was like, it literally was sort of, it couldn't have come at a better time. So to be offered something that was to where we would compose long form music with he didn't want any songs, no vocals, no hits, just long form, dark, edgy kind of stuff. That's what he wanted. So for us, it was just amazing. We were so excited to do it because you know, this guy was a legendary film producer, film director. We'd be working in Hollywood. It was a really exciting brief, you know, it gave us a lot of freedom. It got us out of this sort of commercial straitjacket that we were in the studio trying to come up with a hit. And so we jumped at that. The record company, Geffen, were not so enthusiastic. They saw that as just as a kind of diversion away from us coming up with some hits and stuff and getting on with our commercial career. That they weren't so happy about it. But we just were very, very excited, and we jumped into that. It was freaking. absolutely loved what we did for him and was so enthusiastic about it that actually, ironically, it was us who decided to come up with some songs for it, even though he hadn't asked us for any songs. In fact, he specifically didn't want songs. And so when we sent him the song To Live and Die in LA, he was like, wow, this is so good. You know, he actually filmed a whole sequence specially to accommodate that song, you know, and he was editing the film to our music. You know, it was you couldn't make it up. I mean, it was just incredible. Usually it's the other way around. You have to fit in with the visuals, but he was editing them, lots of the movie to our stuff, you know, to our music. And so we, in writing new songs, thought, well, maybe we should make this our next album, you know. Let's sort of see if Geffen will get more excited about that. And they were excited about that. They thought it was good. That sort of fitted into... It was a good way of following up Points on the Curve, Dancehall Days. I think they felt they could sort of get behind it a bit. So everyone sort of was a lot happier. And then the film did pretty well. It did very well on the rental market, you know, did hugely well. And so that album actually outsold Points on the Curve, even though To Live and Die, the single, it was a sort of it was a hit, but it wasn't our biggest hit. But it did just well enough to sort of make people aware that we had an album out. So as I said, To Live and Die in LA was ended up being a successful album.
And I believe Dance Hall Days is in that movie in a strip club scene.
That's right, exactly. Dance Hall Days is in it, and Wait, the track Wait, which is also off Points on the Curve. The track Wait was the track that William Friedkin particularly loved off Points on the Curve, and he was using that as a sort of temp track in for To Live and Die in LA for the rushes. And it was sort of, it worked so well for him that's when he thought, well, why don't I just get the band themselves to write me some stuff for it instead of just using one of their tracks, you know. So, so we used Wait, we used Dancehall Days, and then we wrote 3 or 4 other songs. And it became our next album, you know, and that was great. And the brilliant thing for us, creatively, was that I think it sort of cleansed our palette, our creative palette. So we managed to sort of we managed to get sideways around the commercial pressure problem. We sort of managed to sustain our career sort of fairly well, and I think we felt much more sort of inspired to be able to get back on the horse of writing some hits as well as, you know, keeping the other side of what we do as well, you know. So Mosaic was, you know, spans full-on pop music to, you know, some quite left field, sort of more long-form stuff like The World in Which We Live, you know, the track that ends the album. So, yeah, and we found a new producer to work with, Peter Wolf, Peter Wolf had, he used to be the keyboard player with Frank Zappa, so to me that was very exciting, you know, as a Frank Zappa fan. And he was having some hits with, he produced We Built the City for Starship, and he was on a good roll, so we met with him and we hit it off. So it was a new kind of energy, you know, between us and him, and for us post To Live and Die in LA, you know, we were ready to have some hits again.
Now, what was it like? I mean, Everybody Have Fun Tonight was just huge. What is it like as a performer when you're sitting there and anywhere you go, there's a good chance you're going to hear that song? Does it get tired in your head, or are you excited every time you would hear it?
You know what? I'm at an age now where, and I have been for a while, to be honest, where I really appreciate our longevity of our success and what we achieved. I think I've got a much better sort of point of view of it than I maybe had whilst we were having the success and even afterwards. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, I worked in as an A&R man for Warner's and for Sony, and I've done all sorts of stuff, you know, after we kind of split up at the end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s, you know, I got into all sorts of other things. And it was sort of, I suppose, in the process of, you know, being an A&R man, working with other artists, that I started to realise two things. One, I was getting quite a lot of respect from other artists, you know, that I was A&Ring for my experiences for being in a successful band. But I also realised, you know, how hard it was to achieve the sort of things that we managed to achieve, you know, as Wang Chung. When you sort of get into the business from another side, you sort of realise how difficult it is, you know. So I think, you know, in my old age, I really am sort of present to the fact of what we managed to achieve, and also, therefore, I'm able to enjoy it even more, you know. So when we play Everybody Have Fun Tonight live, for example, and you see the crowds just go crazy, you know, and they really are having fun, and it means something to them. You know, it's pretty hard not to enjoy that yourself, you know. So I feel very lucky and blessed, you know, that we can still tour and do what we do and connect so strongly with people, you know. It's a lovely feeling. And to see it, you know, in movies and commercials and TV shows, I mean, our stuff still gets regularly synced into all sorts of things, you know, and big things. So it's very gratifying, and it's, you know, it's nice to earn a few bob out of it as well.
Right. Well, now, when that video came out, though, the video was so big. How often were you getting recognized? Were people always recognizing you guys?
We got recognised. I mean, we were already getting recognised thanks to MTV in the States, especially, because MTV was so big in the States before it was in the UK. So that it was already happening. But yes, of course, it really ramped up even more when we were doing Everybody Have Fun Tonight and Let's Go and all those songs from Mosaic. I remember Jack and I being in New York City. I think we had a couple of days off. Everybody Have Fun Tonight was like number one, and we went. Jack and I were quite, you know, we used to check out art gallery. We love art, and we used to go to wherever we were on tour. If we had the time, we'd go and check out the local art gallery. So we went on this occasion. We went to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. Now, as the last place you'd think that we would have any trouble. So we were sort of we'd been there an hour or so, and then we were sitting in the restaurant, the canteen there, just having a little coffee, having a break before we went to see the Impressionists, you know. And then a few people sort of recognised us. Within about, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes, there was a queue of people in the middle of the Metropolitan Museum of Art queuing up for our autographs, you know. It was like insane, you know. So in the end, it got so bad we just had to leave, you know. So that's typical Wang Chung somehow, that we would get mobbed in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I think about the only band who could do that.
Now, why did you guys break up? I mean, was it because the music industry was changing, or I mean, what was the deal?
You know, funny enough, we didn't sort of formally break up, but we kind of faded away, you know. But in the sense that, so we'd had Mosaic, that was huge. The Warmer Side of Cool, the next album, that was a bit of a struggle. I think Jack and I were starting to. We're both quite, in our quiet way, we're both very strong-minded, and we both are able to do quite a lot, cover a lot of ground individually, if you see what I mean, musically speaking. So I think we both had distinct sort of visions of how we wanted to do Warmer Side of Cool. So it was a sort of quiet battlefield between us. You know, I mean, we loved each other, but I think there was definitely some artistic sort of friction going on. And so we didn't roll around fighting each other or punching or anything like that, but we'd quietly sort of be pissed off with each other. So, and I think that album, even though it's got some good moments on it, it wasn't a happy experience, and I don't think it was as good as it maybe could have been. So its performance commercially, I think, also reflected the fact that we weren't truly united on it. So and I think there was this sense of maybe just let's give it a break, and I think Jack wanted to do some solo stuff, and so he decided to go off and do that, and I just decided to. Well, I didn't know what I was going to do. It's funny, at that time, I decided, or John Moss from Culture Club, he'd had a similar, Culture Club had split up, and he was looking for a new thing to do, so he sort of encouraged me into doing this project with him called Promised Land. So we made a record together and ended up signing to Epic Records. Jack made a solo album. So we both went our separate ways, but we still remained. I suppose we had a year of maybe not talking to each other very much, Jack and I. But after that, we kind of reconnected, and then when I finally got myself a job at Warner Brothers as an A&R guy, we started to work together again. But I used to hire Jack to produce some records or work on with some of the acts I was working with. So we sort of collaborated in a slightly different way, not directly anymore in Wang Chung, but via other artists, if you see what I mean.
Now you guys got back together and you started playing again. How did that come about?
As I said, we were both doing other things for quite a few years. So I was A&R guy for a long time with Warners and Sony. I also worked on the first five seasons of The Voice, the TV show. I did various things. Jack was doing some jazz stuff and producing some stuff for me and various things. We kept being offered tours. It's not like Wang Chung stopped having any profile, even though we weren't actively active, if you see what I mean. Wang Chung just sort of wouldn't die. And in 1998, I heard, I think I was working at, was it Warner's or Sony? I can't remember which. I heard that Geffen or Universal were going to put out a greatest hits. So I suggested to Jack that we record a new song. I'll take a few days off work and we'll record a new song and send it to Geffen and see if they would like to stripe it onto the greatest hits album. So that's when we went off to record what was to be Space Junk. The track Space Junk. We sent it to Geffen Records. They absolutely loved it. They stuck it on the album. I don't know if you know, but since then, of course, Space Junk has ended up twice in the TV show. What's it called? I'm having a brain fart. The one about zombies.
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. Yeah, it was in the first episode of that, and it's been in it again. So, and that track has become quite an important track for Wang Chung. Actually, lots of people really like it. So, where was I? I've got a bit lost now. So we did that, but I was still, working as an A&R guy. Jack did a tour of the US in 2000 as Wang Chung. We were offered this tour. I couldn't do it because I was working for Warner's at the time, so I gave him my blessing to go off and do it without me. And then I think it was 2005, something like that, 2006. We were asked to go on this TV show called Hit Me Baby One More Time. So on that show, sort of 80s artists would be asked on the show to record this, to perform their biggest hit and to do a cover of someone else's hit, you know. So I thought it could be a bit of fun to do that. So we did Everybody Have Fun Tonight, and we did a cover of Nelly's Hot in Here. And it was, you know, a big show on ABC TV. And it was like one of the top rated shows, actually. And people absolutely loved us on it, and it was really fun to do it. And I think that's when we realised that we should be, you know, doing some shows again properly, and maybe even record a new record. So that taste of sort of performing with Wang Chung on a TV show after many years of being a good 15 or more years of not doing anything as Wang Chung, that really gave us the taste of it, and we sort of got back on the horse soon after that. Within the next year or two, we started recording a new album, and we did our first tour of the States. I think it was 2009. So it was about 3 years after that, we were fully back onto, you know, Wang Chung mode again.
Now you're touring now. I know this last tour was I saw you in Philly last year. Yeah. You guys didn't play it this year, but Jack wasn't on that tour.
No, he wasn't. No. Sorry, I interrupted you. Okay,
oh no, I was going to say, what, you know, do you think it's helped you? I saw you tour, the place is packed. Do you think it's helped your music now because the '80s are making such a comeback?
Well, yeah, people use that expression, '80s are making such a comeback. I think from my experience, you know, I don't think they ever went away. I mean, we went away for quite a few years because we were doing other things, but I think the 80s have been very strong for quite a while. I mean, maybe arguably they're getting even stronger, I don't know, but you know, for the last 3 or 4 years, I've been touring without Jack. That's Wang Chung, and also as Wang Chung cutting crew. Well, we have this hybrid band where Wang Chung, literally, we sort of merge into cutting crew, and we do one set and play both of our repertoires into one hybridized set. So whilst Jack had sort of decided to step back for a few years, I, you know, carried on, and it's been, you know, it's been really good and really fun and really successful, and so it's been, I think, good for the Wang Chung sort of profile to keep us going out there. You know, we just finished another tour in the US, the Lost 80s tour, that was very successful. So it's been terrific, and I'm very grateful that I could continue without Jack, because that's not an easy thing to do. Jack's, you know, Jack's unique, you know, so but luckily, you know, I've been working with good people, and we've managed to put together a good show that the fans seem to accept really well, you know, so it's great.
Now,
I think that Jack wants to sort of get back on the horse again now, so that'll be lovely. So I'm going to be doing some more stuff with him next year.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how did Orchesography sell? Has that done well for you guys?
It's got a great response from the fans. People really love it. So in that sense, it's been great. It's was a fantastic experience for us to work with an orchestra. We're pretty pleased with the record. I think it's turned out really well. Has it been a huge success? Well, it's done okay. It's something that we feel. I think there's a slight lack of awareness of it, to be honest with you. So I think it you know, it's something we're going to keep making people aware of, and I'm sure eventually it will do well, you know. And we're hoping that maybe we might get some of the tracks into movies and TV shows, like we usually tend to do. So that will, of course, all help. So no, it's not been a massive success, but it's a growing thing, and it's something I think that's been a really good part of our, you know, it's good that we've done it and we can make that part of our catalogue, you know.
Now you said you might, you know, you and Jack are going to get back on the horse. What do you see in the future for you and Wang Chung in, let's say, the next 2 years?
Well, Jack and I are going to be working together, touring. We've got various sort of gigs coming in parts of the world that we haven't been to before. So there should be interesting sort of gigging around, unusual places for us. That would be an experience. We're hoping to do some orchestral shows as well. So some of our friends and colleagues are doing orchestral albums as well. So Cutting Crew, Go West, ABC, Flock of Seagulls. You know, there's a bunch of people who have done or are doing what we did with orchesography. So my sort of sense is that I'd love to do some collaborative shows with orchestras around the world. So that's something that I hope will happen sort of next year and the year after. You know, that's a new thing that we haven't, but will never have done before. So that'd be interesting. I'm writing. I've got a load of new songs I've been writing that I'm excited about. Jack has got a solo album that he's about to put out, which is really good. Very excited. It's excellent. I've just been listening to it today, actually. It's terrific. We've also are putting out a complete re-release kind of all of our back catalogue, plus a load of rarities, unreleased stuff, annotations and stories about each of the tracks and each album. It's a really huge and totally comprehensive release called Clear Light, Dark Matter. Now that will be coming out in various bits and pieces over the next year or two. So there's lots of stuff to come, you know. There's lots of activity in the Wang Chung world, you know.
That's awesome. Well, you know what, Nick, I want to thank you for coming on. People, go to the website. It's wangchung.org. Go to my website, coopertalk.net. You can find 751 episodes. Email me, coopertalk.net. So remember, I'm Steve Cooper. I'm only as hip as my guests. Don't forget, drink your water, eat your vegetables, take your vitamins, and I'll talk to you next time.